You have every honor that a man could have. You've got almost Oscars. No. No Oscar. No Oscar.
The winner is Woody Allen for Annie Hall.
Thank you for doing this.
I know how to make movies. I went to film school. I have a knack for it. I studied it very well and practiced, and I know what I'm doing.
This.
All right, go, 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 go. Thank you, George Lucas.
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, can know how to watch what you want, where you want, when you want, on whatever device you want, and get these hosts, whether you want us or not. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and more importantly, that was our special guest star, George Lucas, in an interview with Charlie Rose, in which he makes it very clear that he did not win an Oscar.
Never saw Charlie Rose so hard on somebody like that.
No,
I mean,
of course, the
wasn't
whole
edited, was it?
Yeah, the whole thing's edited, and they start adding. It just gets better and better from there. Look up George Lucas interview gone wrong, and you'll love it.
Editing is very difficult, especially when it involves sound. And we have a guest today who knows all about that, Mr. Rob Krekel.
Howdy.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Krekel, are we allowed to say all the things that you do, or is it top secret?
No, all the things.
Okay,
Say all of them.
Rob Krekel is a master sound editor. If you are playing Uncharted 4, as is most of America on the free world right now, then you are probably hearing his work happen live right now. We had the chance to hang out with Rob Krekel the night before the review embargoes broke, and I've never seen somebody more on edge and tense. And congratulations on all the amazing critical and I assume commercial success that Uncharted 4 is having.
Well, thank you. You know, it's everyone here at Naughty Dog is super stoked that everyone seems to like it. So, yeah. It's good.
Right on, man.
All right. Well, you also watch the television and movies over the internet, I hear, right?
It's true.
Well, then let's start with our primary target. Brian.
Yes, sir.
You have espoused.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me get ready. All right, get ready. Let me get a drink ready. I'm going to lean back. Go ahead. Just say what you're going to say.
For years, I want to say multiple years, a vision that you've called the digital concierge.
Yeah, no, the idea. It's an idea that I alone have had. I'm pretty sure nobody else has had it. Pretty sure nobody else is going to come up with a better name, and then take all the credit for it. But keep going.
Well, yes, we talked about it on Daily Tech News Show last week. We've talked about it on Cordkillers a million times. Maybe not literally a million. Mike Hefflinger is an executive in residence at Xseed Capital, was previously at Facebook and Intel. He had a guest post on TechCrunch this past week where he describes a layout of a service for people who keep cable and still watch Netflix, Amazon, etc. And it's very similar. Now, Brian, I don't want you to get mad at the guy because he's spreading the gospel.
But
he's also got your idea pretty much. Okay, so
for the record, I intended to have a full mouth of my soda and do a spit take all over the studio, but I've decided I don't want to have to clean all that up.
I don't want to replace all that equipment. So here's the deal. And he makes a point which you have made and I have made as well, which is if you're talking about saving money on cable, you can't count your Netflix subscription if you already subscribe to Netflix. It's not like you cancel cable and suddenly start paying $10 a month for Netflix. If you already paid for it, that's a sunk cost. You don't count that. Anyway, what he says is we should have a situation where a company, whether it's Google, whether it's Apple, comes in and strikes the following deal. You spend $36 a month to get about 50 channels. That's triple the per subscriber fee that channels pay right now in Hefflinger's estimate. Then he says, let's just say $24 for ESPN. He's like, that's somewhere in the middle of the estimates. Let's say you continue to pay $10 for Netflix, you pay $13 for HBO. He's gonna figure we'll get a little bulk discount because we're packaging it in a bundle. Same thing for Showtime at $7. He's like, that right there with your Disney, your Viacom, your NBC, your Fox, all packaged together with Netflix, HBO, and Showtime would be $90 a month. Company charges $99 a month, makes a $9 margin. That's why it's got to be a Google or an Apple, somebody who doesn't mind that thin margin because they're really using it to sell their hardware. And he's like, that would save you money compared to what you spend now, which is $60 to $75 for cable, then $12 to $20 for HBO, then $10 to $15 for Showtime, plus your $10 for Netflix.
So, okay, two things about this. First of all, I think this is an interesting idea, the idea that there would be a different price for essentially a backdoor feed, where it's like you're not going to log in to HBOnow.com, you're not going to log in to Amazon Prime or whatever, but instead...
Which, by the way, Sling does that. When you subscribe to HBO at Sling, you get HBO through Sling now.
That's interesting. Do we know whether or not the HBO feed? I guess that feed is actually hosted by Sling. It's not because remember there was two different
that's a good question
server
about the back
providers
end.
Between HBO Now and HBO Go. So let's say for example, let's say this is a third option where it's like they offset some of the server costs and it goes through this concierge service. But by the way, this is the second point is the bastards came up with a better name for it. I love the juke bot. That's a great idea for it, turning it into a video jukebox with your juke bot, figuring it all out for you. But it makes sense that somebody could come along and do this because this is all entirely just a licensing problem. It's a software problem. All the infrastructure's there. All of the deals are there. These people are in a position to sell, cheaper versions of their services. I gotta, even though this is all just a made up scheme, very similar to my made up scheme, but seeing it, on TechCrunch, I reading somebody else's version of it makes me very, very optimistic about the possibility of this. What do you say, Rob?
Yeah, and I really love this idea. And the problem then becomes the front end. You still have competition. Like Tom said, it's the hardware. It's no longer about like gated content. It's more about how well that content is delivered to you, which that for me as a consumer is like the best possible scenario.
One of the side effects of this that would be really interesting is, and we saw this when we went from HBO Go to HBO Now, and I personally have seen a vast increase in the quality of the content streams on HBO Now versus HBO Go. But what if part of the guarantee you were buying when you bought a $99 skinny bundle through Apple or whatever was that they promised a base level quality of stream that you got, where it's like they basically said, hey, if you want to work with us, you need to guarantee that you'll be able to hit this kind of, this number of failures over this many a time at a maximum.
Yeah, I think that could be a good differentiation. But even before that, just having something which, again, Hefflinger is saying your current situation probably cost you $120 to $140 across Netflix, HBO, cable, etc. So this could definitely compete on price, could deliver right to you, and it's the kind of thing that will get people to give up cable. It also points out, I think interestingly, that the losers would be your traditional cable companies, right? Because they're just not able yet, even with their skinny bundles, to give you this kind of service. And Hulu. Hulu is existing right now for people who don't want to have cable and still get mainstream broadcast network shows. That's unimportant to people who actually have cable, but people who actually have cable definitely want Netflix and Amazon Prime, probably for the shipping as much as the shows, but there are award-winning shows on Netflix and Amazon. So if someone were to make a series like this, and granted, PlayStation Vue and Sling are very close, but if someone were to make a service like this, not a series, you would probably see Hulu start to suffer unless Hulu was one of the ones providing this service. And maybe going back to your point, Brian, Hulu partners with a Google or an Apple to say, hey, we know how to make sure that these streams work. We'll partner with you to bring those 36 channels to you.
Wouldn't that be amazing if Hulu figured out that was the way? Because you notice that margin, and again, these are all made up numbers, but that margin is, the cost is $90. You could sell it for $99. $9 seems awfully close to the minimum with commercials version of Hulu. What if they were the one to organize all this? I got to tell you, if they were to do something like this, I would flip instantly overnight to Hulu's #1 fan, and I would jump over, come up with a creative name for it and all that. I'd be all in. So let me ask this, and I want to lean on Rob to see if he has any ideas in this regard. Why this article is based on the idea that everybody gets along and they come up with these prices and they all decide to, kind of create a Justice League of skinny bundles together. Why might any one of these companies say no? The biggest one that pops out to me is the fact that he's supposing that ESPN and ESPN2 could get their take for $24, which is, again, a made-up number, but it's based on the fact that most estimates say that it's about $36 to make up for over-the-top services. What
and there's
they already
precedent
get from
there. Sling TV is $20, including ESPN, with other channels. So ESPN is already undercutting.
Yeah.
I really think the one reason that these guys would want to not do this is, at least any of these normal partners, that they're starting their own services. Almost everyone's starting a service. Disney's like starting a streaming service for all of their stuff. They have it available in the UK right now, and they're going to bring it stateside. And they control everything. They control their back catalog. They control what's in the vault, what's not in the vault, this other stuff. And if they're only going to be a part of this package, is it only the Disney Channel? Is it all their back catalog? Is all the is it an HBO model where it's literally everything? That's kind of the question I have.
Well, and I think what he's talking about is a point of resistance for cable channels, which is to say, yeah, we're not going to carry all of your channels. So I know you're used to getting your way and having 7 or 8 channels carried. This is going to be a skinny bundle. So networks would have to get used to that, but maybe they could see it as a way to upsell people into their other services that have everything.
But is a channel even going to be a thing moving forward? Is it going to be more service oriented, where it's an entire package of stuff? It's not just the channel you flip to on your TV that we're used to. It's more of like an HBO Go or HBO Now scenario where you have the entire back catalog as well as whatever was live that night as well.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the points they make in this TechCrunch article is they point out that it's like, we don't care what label the latest, Kanye album comes out on. What we care is that the latest Kanye album is on our phone, which is a sentence that I said because it's 2016. That's amazing to me that the phone is our primary way to interact with
Also,
music.
we do care if Kanye makes it exclusive to Tidal suddenly, what service it's on, but still not what label.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think it's a fair point. When we say channel, I guess what I'm assuming is HBO Now is a channel, right?
Sure.
So the Disney Channel is not really the channel. It's, do I have access to all the shows that are provided by Disney XD, for instance?
Right.
Yeah. So I guess my prediction, as much as I love this idea, my prediction is when the phone calls start happening and somebody actually tries to put this together, my guess is, because, as Rob pointed out, ESPN is working on their independent offering, HBO wants to grow HBO Now and all that stuff. My guess is they get a whole bunch of like, yeah, man, let's talk about that, and a bunch of delay tactics to just drag it out. Like, just give us another year of runway, another 2 years of runway. Let us get a little bit bigger, and it's only after it's inevitable that people are going to jump over. So I'd hate to say it, but I think the only way this happens is if somebody cooks up, somebody home grows a independent, I guess, would it be a pirate solution if I were to write a piece of software that did this with all the existing bundles? So it wouldn't cost $99. It would cost, let's say, $150. Let's say it's actually more expensive than whatever you're paying now for all these services, but it includes all of them because it assumes that you make an account on all of them. If somebody does that and it blows up,
I mean, you won't be able to get those discounts he was mentioning,
Correct.
which is a small part of it. But the biggest problem is that $36 50 channel bundle. The only company that's been able to pull that off is Sony, by writing some big checks, I would guess. PlayStation Vue comes close to that with a $40 bundle of more than 50 channels. So that would be the only thing that would get in your way. Otherwise, yeah, Brian, you can write. I mean, Roku does it, Apple TV does it. They write these things that try to search across all of these different elements.
That's a really good point. Rob Krekel, you work for Naughty Dog, which was published by Sony as an exclusive title. Would you like to officially make some statements on Sony's behalf?
No, not at all.
All right, our next story is about Discovery Networks, Brian. All right, actually, I'm not funded by either of those companies because I'm funded entirely by you, the patrons, at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Brian, we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, no, that's true. And that's one of the things I love about doing Cordkillers is we get to be loud, live, and independent. And if you head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers, you can join nearly 2,000 of your best friends out there who love the same show that you do. We are now at 1931. What's something that happened in 1931? Was prohibition still a thing, Tom?
My grandma grandma got pregnant with my dad.
Wait, your grandma gave birth to your dad? Of course she,
my
wait.
32 is when she gave birth to him, but she got pregnant with him in 31.
I was trying to piece that together. But yeah, man, if you want to celebrate Tom's dadiversary, why don't you join us at patreon.com/Cordkillers and help us getting this independent content to you. We
It's
love
not
you guys.
weird at all. And the more you support Cordkillers with your money, the fewer weird statements I'll make.
Fair enough.
Let's get on to Signals Intelligence. So Amazon opened the floodgates last week. A lot of people were billing this as competing with YouTube, which it kind of is, but it's a different thing. You can now upload your video to Amazon Prime. And of course, the easiest thing to wrap your head around is if I'm an Amazon Prime subscriber who watches Amazon Prime, anybody can upload a video to that service now. It's not just people who partner with Amazon, but as a video provider, you can also choose to make your shows available for rental or purchase through Amazon, or even make an add-on subscription available, although you have to be part of the Streaming Partners program to do that. But anybody can get paid 15 cents an hour for U.S. viewers or 6 cents an hour or for international viewers, up to $75,000 for their shows being watched on Amazon Prime. If it's a rental or a purchase, you split it 50-50 with Amazon. And Amazon is making a free with ads stream for non-Prime subscribers, and you'll get 55% revenue share of the ads on that. A lot of big launch partners like Condé Nast and Mashable and Guardian and Machinima are partnering this way, but anybody can do it. I went and tried to upload a Daily Tech News show, and I had to sign up a bank account. So that's going to keep a few people from doing this. Had to sign a W-9. That's going to keep a few more people from doing it. You have to have artwork in a particular format. That's going to keep some people from doing it because they're like, that's too much trouble. The thing that stopped me was captioning. Not that I can't caption my videos, and they are automatically captioned by YouTube, but I don't have a system that takes an immediate video and puts captioning. So that's going to keep a few more people in there. Not that you shouldn't have captioning, but this is not YouTube where you just upload your video and you're done. Like, you have to go through some hoops, Brian.
Can I tell you, I honestly think this is brilliant. I think this is a great idea. I think that it is not a perfect heuristic, but it is one that, in general, the people who make the type of quality content that I like watching on YouTube will also tend to be the kind of people who have bank accounts, already have a filled out W-9, probably have captioned their stuff or can get it out, which, by the way, and we talked about this off the air before, but I'm not convinced that there's not somebody out there right now who wouldn't deeply love the challenge of a 30-minute turnaround to caption each episode of DTNS so
It's
that
the
you
DTNS caption challenge. Beat YouTube.
You say it like a joke, but I think that would be a blast for there's somebody out there who would think that's really fun. What do you say, Rob?
I think the captioning quality would certainly go up. I don't know if you guys have watched captioned videos on YouTube at all, but they're not exactly good.
But Cuba.
Yeah.
Yes. But I got to tell you, the moment I read this, I thought, holy cow, this would be perfect for, we just launched the new property, The Modern Rogue. It's a different flavor from Scam School. It's an independent production, and I would love to see it as its own independent thing on Amazon. I kind of love there being a gatekeeping process on this. So, Rob, how do you use YouTube, and do you have anything that you would consider doing this kind of thing on Amazon?
Well, I mean, some of the content that I've worked on that's on YouTube would be perfect for this sort of thing. So, like the Film Riot guys' short films, for instance, I feel like they would benefit greatly. This service seems more up that sort of longish form, as opposed to like vloggers and games casters and things like that. I think it's maybe a better place for some stuff that's more narrative, more long form. That seems like a logical step for me. And those are definitely the kind of people who would be able to fill out and meet all the requirements to get on it.
And keep in mind that they also have the advantage. One of the things, and I was wrong about this because it looks like they pretty much gave up on Google Plus, but Google having a massive war chest kind of put me in a place where it's like, you don't bet against Google. They're like the Borg. If they do something wrong, they're just going to iterate and try again and keep on going until they get it right. I feel like Amazon's kind of in that same category, and they're trying it out with this curated content, and who knows, or I guess it's not even curated, but it just has kind of a bit of a barrier to entry to get there. But it seems like, I mean, this is a brand new marketplace. And if you've got some quality content, seems like this is a good place to get it out there to people.
Yeah, the other positive thing I think is that they have a pretty, at least from the article, a pretty transparent payment model. So you can kind of know what to expect when you put your stuff up on the service. It's not sort of a mystery like it is with YouTube.
Yeah, it's it's comparable and comparable to other programs that people complain about, but it's still comparable. I wonder what the discovery is like on this. For instance, if I upload it and I say, okay, I want my Amazon Prime Video subscribers to watch me, how do they find me? How easy is it to search? Can I get my viewers to find me there? It makes a little more sense if you put it up for rental or purchase, because then you can just link to it directly and tell people like, hey, it's available now. But getting into that Amazon Prime world, suddenly you're in what is already a vast catalog of options to begin with, and Amazon has a vested interest in making sure that searches return very good results of high quality items.
To be honest, it's that discoverability that makes this so attractive to me, especially for a new property. Like if you're already dominating on YouTube, there's very little reason to want to get into this new marketplace and possibly upset your current masters over at Google. But if it's a new property, what they are looking for is they're looking for their own possibly, and I'm making this up, possibly exclusive or heavily Amazon-focused superstars. If they have their own answer to a PewDiePie, you better believe that the moment you turn on every Fire TV, the moment you talk to Alexa, she's going to say like, oh, have you seen the new Herpaderp video? You're like, oh, Herpaderp, he's so much better than PewDiePie. Which, by the way, unrelatedly, I have a new series called Herpaderp.
Apologies to Herpaderp, who's doing some fine work out there. We didn't know you existed until we made up your name.
Here's my point. This is a brand new marketplace, and if you're first to get in there and you are the leader of a flight to quality, then there's no reason not to expect you to find your face, one of the chosen, promoted, very exciting new properties that they're making a lot of noise about.
Yeah, it's actually very similar to the Kindle program. And in fact, a DTNS listener wrote into that show earlier this week and noted that CreateSpace, which is owned by Amazon, has been doing this with DVDs. Like you could self-publish your DVDs, you had to upload them, you had to have captioning and the whole ball of wax. So his theory was like they just took the CreateSpace DVD system and they turned it into a video upload system for Amazon Direct. And it, again, Brian, you're absolutely right. It's the same thing as Kindle in that, hey, we're going to have Kindle and anybody can publish and we'll find some stars and we'll put them on our imprint every now and again. And they may do the same with this as well.
And you know what's funny is now the more that I think about it, the more of an obvious play this is. One of the things that Amazon has done brilliantly is define their own space in terms of digital sales. And by breaking up all the different categories of nonfiction or whatever, everybody's racing. Like there's these categories that I've never heard of before perusing through Amazon. But now all of a sudden it's like, here's a category that's super soft. I can write a first-person techno thriller set in the 1800s, and there's a category for it. And because I'm the first one to, who has 1,000 fans, and I'm able to sell 100 of them, I now have a #1 Amazon bestseller. And that's not a lie. That's a legitimate title I have from now on. Why not do that with video? Why not do that with video content?
Yeah.
And in terms of discoverability, I actually find that Amazon usually is pretty good about aggregating stuff, especially at least just from shopping on there. They're really good at pointing out stuff that I might like. And if they can translate that to their video content as well, I feel like they'd be in a really strong place. I don't think I've ever gone on a YouTube video and gotten a suggestion for something that wasn't just like clickbait nonsense that actually had nothing to do with the video I just watched. It's usually pretty poor.
Either that or based on your previous history where it's like, hey, man, we know you'd rather watch clips of Harmontown. Here they are.
It's like a little treat when you actually get the next video in that same series and you're recommended. You're like, oh, wow, I don't have to search around for it? That's awesome.
Yeah. No, it takes something like the Phantom Menace review where it's like it's so very obvious that you want to watch part 2 after part 1.
All right. Well, you guys go and subscribe to Herpaderp's channel. We're going to gear up.
Telling you, Tom, it's $1 million idea.
Absolutely.
I get scared by everything.
Help us caption Herpaderp's videos too, please. Hey, HD Home Run is a product we told you about back when it was kickstarted. The brief idea is it's a device that attaches to an antenna and provides an online tuner to your network so that you can conceivably run anything on your network and get the recorded video. Most people were setting it up with a computer being the place that you would store the recorded videos so you could run the DVR that way. But now Silicon Dust, which makes the HD Home Run, is testing out HD Home Run Record for Android TV. The tuner device needs Android 6.0, Ethernet, and USB 3. Sadly, that means you can't use your Android TV Nexus device or your Android TV Fire TV device, but it will work with the NVIDIA Shield Pro, which has 500 gigabytes of internal storage. So that's pretty good for a DVR. You can watch on the device, or anything that uses HD Home Run's View app can access it, because that's the whole point of HD Home Run.
Do you think that, given the fact that it's on an Android TV device, and I know this is an unfair characterization of all kind of console and set-top.
That's an unfair characterization, Brian.
I haven't even made it yet, but I want to say, like, the fact that it's underpowered relative to a desktop. Do you think that's going to affect the quality of the experience? Like, it's going to take longer to get to the stuff or not?
Yeah, the NVIDIA Shield Pro won't. And I think that's probably why they're testing it with that first, and why they have the specs required, because that machine is actually pretty good. But you're right, like an older Roku, if it were doing this, would be slow. And that was always my problem with Simple TV and Tableau, is they did all the things that they said they would do, but they just worked a little slower than I wanted them to.
Yeah. Let me ask, Rob, are you as impatient as I am? Like, I'm still somebody who pines for the days in 1989 when I had an analog tuner, and as fast as I could change the channels were up. And I still resent the fact that we live in a digital world where there's a 2-second lag. Do you go nuts on those 2 seconds lags?
100%. Yeah. Like I got an Xbox One, and I tried running the cable through it thinking, oh, their guide's going to be better, faster. No, it's like twice as long, because it's like actually sending number commands to your cable box. And so it takes like twice as long as the regular cable box to just change the channel. It's not like it's channel up. It's like literally typing in the number. It's ridiculous. I can't stand that sort of stuff. And so for this to really work, like it kind of only have to be on like a next generation of set-top boxes. Which is probably, like Tom said, why they're testing on the Shield.
Well, so that brings me to my next question. Like who
Which is why can't I turn on the radio and watch the game on Roku and listen to the radio audio?
No. My question is, who do you think, Tom, is the target demographic for this? Who is it that needs this?
Oh, yeah. No, if you look at the Kickstarter, which, again, funded a while ago, these are network enthusiasts, the same people who love Plex. Those of you who love Plex are the kinds of people who love HD Home Run View, because it does all the things you want under your control. There's nothing you have to subscribe to. There's nothing out there in the cloud. You're storing it all, but it needs your maintenance. So it's sort of a hobbyist enthusiast in networking and video DVR, which is a large section of our audience.
Yeah, no, I think I think you've convinced me that it's good that it exists. Also, you've convinced me that I don't need it.
Well, there you go.
Ditto.
So those of you who love it should know, probably already do. It was existing. I just thought it was interesting that the NVIDIA Shield Pro was the one they were tested on. Before we get to the front lines, though, Brian, I hear you have a special announcement.
I do? ?
Yes, you sure do. Because it says right here, Brian.
Oh.
What
so
it says in my rundown.
You're saying it's my turn to remind the people who are listening right now that there's 2 ways to support the show. Of course, we appreciate your support over at patreon.com/Cordkillers, but Tom writes books, and I run a little shop called scamstuff.com that includes a whole bunch of rad stuff that we find, in our search for awesome materials at Scam School. This week, this is our second week, we have something called the Lockproof Pen that is just so badass. It's this pen made of aircraft grade aluminum that's finely machined. It's got a glass breaker on one end. It's got a crown that's designed to gouge out pieces of DNA if somebody attacks you on the other end, and you twist it open and you get a whole bunch of lockpicks in there, and you can get it free if you get the Ultimate Lockpick Trainer. Go to scamstuff.com. I'm so proud of the content that we're curating over there. Really cool stuff.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the front lines. Don't worry. You don't have to have your bayonet.
Front lines!
Member states of the European Union have endorsed a proposal that would require subscription services like Netflix to allow access to their services outside of a user's home nation, but while traveling within the European Union. So you have to be from Europe in the first place, and you have to stay in Europe. But right now, if like I subscribe to Netflix in the UK and I go to Germany, I can't access it. This still needs to be approved by ministers at a meeting on May 26th. And that's all I got to say about that, except yes, please, you should do that, although it won't help me any.
I mean, I don't know. It's I love everything about this except for the part that a legislative body needs to decide what Netflix needs to do. I mean, surely Netflix can, they're grown-ups. They can look and see that this is clearly what a giant chunk of their
Netflix doesn't
audience
get to
wants.
choose. It's this legacy of, oh, well, the film reels take so long to go from Germany to the UK by boat that we can have exclusives on things. And the EU seems to be like hustling that along and saying, all right, guys, if you provide service in one place, you got to provide the same place in the other place because it's the European Union, right?
Ah, man.
I mean, I could see a similar thing happening in the United States because of interstate commerce regulations where they're like, you're providing that in California, you got to provide it in Texas.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking of is to have a fair comparison. I'd have to imagine that me in Texas and you in California had different Netflix experiences. I can understand the U.S. making
Would that be Netflixies? Is that how you pronounce Netflix?
Yes, Netflixies. Hey man, cordcutting.com did some math based on Netflix's reported 75 million subscribers and 125 million hours of content streamed every day. Guess what? That ends up to be 1 2/3 hour per subscriber per day using Nielsen's reported average of 15 minutes, 38 seconds of commercials per hour. And a Netflix subscriber has theoretically saved themselves. Now understand, if I'm understanding this correctly, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. If you did nothing but watch Netflix instead of watching traditional television, you would have theoretically saved yourself from watching 158.5 hours of commercials per year. Unless you used a DVR beforehand, in which case you probably skipped them anyway.
You're already saving that stuff. But yeah, these are like, if you'd watched these shows on broadcast or cable, you would have been seeing around 15 minutes of ads.
So, okay, this is a great headline. This is a great tagline, and it certainly speaks to the Cordkillers credo. But let me ask Rob here, how fired up over ads do you get? Does it bother you?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask for this because I don't use ad block on any content, so ads don't really bother me that much, but I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
Why? No. Now, why is that? Is that just because you inherently like ads, or you feel some responsibility to watch ads, or?
It's not that I like ads. I do feel a responsibility as a creator myself. Like, I know that a lot of people's lifeblood comes from ads, and I want to support my creators. And not everyone's on Patreon, so the only way you can support a lot of people is by actually watching their ads. So.
Fair enough.
So it's a moral support.
Yeah.
Moral support, except by watching ads. All right.
Basically, yeah.
Motherboard has an article exploring why cord cutters have more options for watching soccer than fans of other sports in the United States. Sports usually is the thing where you're like, but you can't get your sports if you cord cut, right? Or at least it's harder. The reason for soccer having the advantage is the majority of matches are not aired on cable TV. For instance, Fubo TV is a service that has 50,000 subscribers and deals with several major leagues, including MLS. They even have a deal with the BN Sports Network, which is also on 6 other streaming services.
This kind of stuff is fascinating to me because I love reading about artifacts of the changing way that we consume our media, because this exists as an artifact of the fact that that's not popular content for cable television. But you realize the next wave of this is, as more and more people cut the cord, what if the actual popularity of soccer as a sport went up as a result of the fact that that's what they could get and they couldn't get a hold of NFL or whatever? Like, are you a sports guy, Rob?
Yeah, definitely. I would like a service like this for all the different sports. Hockey in particular would be awesome.
Well, and I think that's what's so intriguing about this. If Brian's right, let's say soccer just gets more and more popular in the United States. Let's say that $99 bundle happens and Fubo is part of it. Let's say suddenly people are muttering out there like, yeah, I wanted to keep cable, but they didn't have my LA Galaxy games, so I moved over to the bundle. Like, what if sports were pulling people over in some?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I was a kid, I only watched wrestling on Saturday nights because it preempted Saturday Night Live. That's when I would watch Saturday Night Main Event, WWF. And it wasn't like I was really into wrestling, but it's sort of, that's what was there. I think that could happen with soccer if you get a bundle and it's just easier and it doesn't take a giant, leap to get from one thing to another. It's like, well, I don't know, these 2 football games I kind of care about are happening, but apparently this is all that's on. I'll just watch.
There's a football game that I definitely care about.
Exactly. The Telegraph reports that the BBC is planning to partner with ITV on a streaming service to be called Britflix. That's another Flissies? Is that what you were saying?
Britflissies would be the plural of Britflix.
The BBC did mention previously developing an additional subscription service in its latest 10-year plan, although it did not give any more details. I assume it'll be better than the name.
Brits and Flicks! Yeah. I want to be able to legitimately pay for the same iPlayer service that people who live in the UK get by paying their television licensing fee. And I don't think that's going to happen because they have all these other deals with BBC America, their partner channel with AMC, and with the PBS here. And I just can't see them offering me exactly the same thing. But I would love Britflix. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the difference between you and me. What about you, Rob?
I would love this. I hate kind of like the interstate stuff. Like I want the same service everywhere in the world. I want the same BBC content in the same fashion that they get it over here. Yeah. Just like whatever we have over here that they might want. I don't know. Maybe
we don't want different
AMC.
versions of Britflissies. We just want one Britflix.
Fair enough.
Correct.
Verizon and ESPN reached a settlement on Verizon's new slimmed down pay TV offerings. I'm giggling because I accidentally typed slummed down.
You weren't that far off, were you?
I don't know. They originally offered a base package that had no ESPN, and back in February they redesigned their offering, so now they have 2 base packages, one of which has an ESPN, and that mollified ESPN. So it's still not really a la carte.
Man,
I don't know if I'd call it slummed down. That seems like going a little.
I mean, that sounds like a lot of stuff involving sports. Did any of those words mean anything to you, Rob?
Sports ball. It's pretty awesome.
All right, fair enough. In advance of the upfront sales presentations, networks announced some cancellations. Among the fallen are Agent Carter, I was surprised by that one, Castle, and The Muppets, and Supergirl is getting moved from CBS to CW. That was a weird one for me. Is it still...
Brian,
yes.
Let's pay some respect to the fallen shows.
Oh no! Don't pour it out right there on the carpet. Before their time.
That's how much respect I have for Castle, a show which I watched a clip of once.
Okay, but let's talk about this Supergirl thing. Like they had already.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. They had previously done crossovers with Supergirl on the CW, right?
They've done one crossover of Flash appearing on Supergirl on CBS.
Okay, and but Supergirl is produced. Is it a CBS studio making it, or an independent studio, and they just had it on CBS? Now that's going to CW.
The same folks who make Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, and Arrow also make Supergirl, and of course CBS is a co-owner of the CW. CW is produced by the CBS network, so it's all part of the same corporate environment essentially. So it's easy enough for CBS to do this, and with all of the other shows doing so well on the CW. And maybe not doing quite as well as they need it to do on CBS, it's probably a situation where they can say Supergirl on CW might be the highest rated show of the week, whereas Supergirl on CBS is underperforming for its time slot.
So very weird that we live in a world where, my childhood consisted of fairly successful Marvel properties on television, but DC properties dominating the silver screen, and now we live in the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Rob, did any of this surprise you?
I was really bummed to see Agent Carter actually get canceled. I'm cautiously optimistic maybe they'll get picked up by Netflix or something, because it just seems like Netflix is very friendly to female-oriented shows, and I thought it was really great. I really was kind of sad to see that go.
The problem is Haley Atwell got signed on in another series, a non-Marvel series, so she's going to be less available now too. Well, let's move on to what's under surveillance. Stop talking about things you can't watch. Start talk about things you can.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
I mean, not right now, but you will be able to.
Some of these aren't right now included, but you could look at pictures of them. The first pictures of Idris Elba as the gunslinger were showed off by the Daily Mail, who seemed to think that the most important thing about these pictures was not, oh my God, Idris Elba as gunslinger, but that he's carrying a smartphone.
Okay, for the record, they're actually right. If you're going to sell this to anyone, like nobody knows the Dark Tower series. How long were we geeks before we finally read
the face of your father, Brian?
I know. Okay, how long were you and I fairly hardcore sci-fi fantasy geeks before we both finally read The Gunslinger?
Yeah. No, fair point. I mean, I didn't start reading all of them until you goaded me into it like 5 years ago. So there you go. I'm new to this game.
But I'll tell you what, if you're watching the video version, would you do me a favor, Bryce, and just scroll through these real quick? My favorite part about these was that they absolutely... I mean, he just instantly looks and reads as Roland of Gilead. I totally buy it. And my favorite thing is that there were people, when I tweeted it out today, who responded finding out for the first time. This was the way they found out that Idris Elba was the gunslinger. And I absolutely adored the fact that they didn't make a stupid stink about race or any of that stuff. They're like, oh yeah, no, he's perfect. He's got those cold bombardier eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I can already see the Stringer Bell expressions playing out on his face as the gunslinger, and it's perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Amazon's show about cars that stars Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond will be called The Grand Tour. Show will premiere on Amazon this autumn and will travel around the world with the studio audience gathering in a tent at each location, like Bedouins.
All right. Rob, were you a fan of Top Gear? Do you have
a huge fan of Top Gear.
Okay, so this is perfect. This is perfect then. Because I was talking to Tom about this before the show. As far as I could tell, this is the first full-on penis measuring contest we've seen between Amazon and Netflix. Netflix,
not related to the transplant news.
Netflix, of course, has Top Gear. Amazon's offering is the Grand Tour now. Like, do you have a dog in this fight? Do you feel like one's going to be better than the other?
Well, I mean, Netflix doesn't really have what they think they have anymore. Because the show was always about these guys. It wasn't really about the show itself. It was about the personalities. I mean, I think most shows like that are. And now Netflix has... It's not like they only have Clarkson. They have all three. They have... And it's... I don't know. The new Top Gear... with Matt LeBlanc. All
right, first of all, for the record, I'll defend Matt LeBlanc. I think he's a fine
I believe we just
actor.
Discovered which dog is in Rob Krekel's hunt right there.
I think Matt LeBlanc is fine. He was good. Remember Lost in Space? He was a fine Captain whoever in that.
Oh, that series Joey? Apparently there was a prequel to it. I never saw it, but Joey was a great Hey, Bryan Cranston is a brand new artist on the scene. He may have done some other things too, but he's going to star in a 10-part series based on the short stories of Philip K. Dick called Electric Dreams. Ronald D. Moore will write and executive produce. Channel 4 and Sony Pictures Television are partnering on the project, so we don't know. I mean, it'll probably show on Channel 4 in the UK, but we don't know where else it will be made available.
So when it says anthology, that implies to me that every story is going to be disconnected from the previous, and when you say it's all going to be under the Philip K. Dick umbrella, that feels to me like they're going to be the stories that we know. When you say Bryan Cranston is going to star in it, that makes me think, what, he's going to play a different character each week? Or
I guess so. Yeah.
Can I tell you I love this? Can I tell you I love the idea? Because recently, I was talking yesterday with Justin. He was talking about the People versus O.J. Simpson and how there's talks about the cast, whatever that means, however many of them, coming back to do another true crime story each season, basically. And I love the idea of like a modern day cast of players, you know, like just like in the old days you would have. It's like, now we're doing Hamlet, now we're doing King Henry V or whatever.
Well, and I know it's not a direct comparison, but sketch comedy shows like Monty Python or Mr. Show, they do the same thing, right? It's the same cast doing different stories all the time.
I got to tell you, the quality of acting that you're going to get from Bryan Cranston's extraordinary. Ronald D. Moore, we've only seen one Grand Slam home run from him, but I guess he certainly did good work all the way back to The Next Generation. But I'm on board. You say Ronald D. Moore, and I'm like in. What about you, Rob?
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I only have one question. Do we think that Bryan Cranston is playing a replicant?
Yeah?
Yes, but how many parts of the series? Time to die. Netflix has cast Joel Kinnaman as Takeshi Kovacs in its upcoming 10-episode series Altered Carbon, based on the novel by Richard Morgan. I'm not familiar with Joel Kinnaman, but I'm very familiar with Altered Carbon, and he certainly looks the part to me.
Altered Carbon. Give me the elevator pitch on this.
Oh, yeah. The idea is, I don't remember exactly what century, but it's, several hundred years in the future, and people can download themselves into new bodies when they die. There's always a backup going on.
Yeah, that sort of reduces the stakes on
and
extreme
it's
sports.
a film noir detective novel trying to figure out who murdered someone because there was a real murder where the backup got wiped.
Oh, dude, what's funny is you said that, I just got horrified. I was like, oh, that's terrifying. I thought you just meant body loss.
NBC has picked up an adaptation of Charlaine Harris's Midnight Texas. You may remember Charlaine Harris, who wrote the books that gave the basis for True Blood on HBO. In Midnight Texas, a psychic named Manfred Bernardo makes his way to a town called Midnight Texas, where he's hoping to find some solace, only to discover that there's more than meets the eye in the small secretive town, as well as vampires, witches, and werewolves. There's a podcasting magician. Oh, wait, I just made up that last part.
So I was about to say, where's the Transformers if there's more to meet the eye?
CBS has ordered a new MacGyver series with Lucas Till, who you may know as Havoc in the X-Men, as MacGyver. There's also a series based on Training Day being developed, set 15 years after the movie.
Not excited about a MacGyver reboot. Am excited about the Training Day continuation. What about you, Rob?
Meh.
All right.
To both of them.
Meh upon you all, he says.
And by the way, we're getting all these news because this is what I used to think of as the TV Guide fall preview issue, but is also known as the upfronts, where the networks announce all their new shows that they're planning for the coming season. Kevin Smith says he is working on an Adventures of Bucker-eye-bonzu TV show. Smith says a deal was struck, and in the next month, he'll, quote, take it out to try to find a home for it.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if you know this, Tom, but I kind of loved the Bucker-eye-bonzu. Bucker-eye-bonzu. Bucker-eye-bonzu.
Huge fan.
Hold on, actually, hold on, time out. I'm going to start a new series. Would that be a copyright-free version? Bucker-eye-bonzu? No, as a matter of fact, I dug out of my closet. We used to give away shirts at these conferences, and I took the Bucker-eye-bonzu logo and put the words Brian Brushwood over it to imply as if that meant me. But it doesn't. No, I love
artistically transformed that, and therefore it is a fair use.
No, it's a bootleg, illegal. Come at me, bro. I'll pay you.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a fair use.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, well, you're
you're
taking the fun out of it, Tom.
And then finally, we move into the trailer park. Got 3 trailers to talk about, and we'll save the worst for last. A new trailer for the next season of Orange is the New Black is out. Series returns on June 17th. Rob, you an Orange is the New Black fan?
I haven't had time to sit down and watch it yet, so I can't say yes or no at this point.
I finished the last season and enjoyed it. Brian, I don't know if you ever caught up.
I didn't even finish it. I'm sorry. Once I realized that they're never going to get out of prison, that they're going to keep almost getting out and then finding an excuse to come back, I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, and then we find out it's actually a Kafka novel that it's based on, where it's a prison of the mind.
I believe all of this.
Season 2 of Mr. Robot returns July 13th, and a new trailer hit today, which I was excited for season 2 of Mr. Robot, but the trailer promises me an even better story than I could have anticipated.
Man, I just don't even know. One of the cool things, I love the cameo by Obama, where at some point they switch from actual footage of President Obama into an impression of Obama saying that.
Is it an impression or is it a clever edit?
I mean, there's no way Obama was talking about
the word. He has definitely said F, and he has said society.
Okay. You know what? Let's go to the sound man. Have you seen this, Rob?
Yeah, no, I think it looks great. Whether or not that's actually Obama's voice, I'd have to do some analysis. I don't know.
Yeah, but regardless, and keep in mind we had already previously reported that Sam Esmail directed and wrote all of the episodes this season.
I'm totally looking forward to this. And NBC has a trailer out for a new series called Timeless. A time machine is stolen by a master criminal, a scientist, a soldier, and a history professor who all team up and use a prototype machine to try and stop the criminal.
Yeah. Good deal.
It's a trailer.
Hey, I know that you have a hard out, Rob. We're about to lose you. Before you go, is there anything you'd like to promote? And can we hear a little bit about what you're watching these days?
Well, I'm making my way through season 2 of Daredevil right now because I'm still catching up from all the stuff I missed for the past year working on Uncharted 4, and I'm loving it. It's freaking awesome. And then I've been slowly getting through all the Marvel movies that I missed. I did see Civil War, and I thought it was amazing. Spider-Man was amazing. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Rob Krekel. It's ROBKREKEL. And I would say, if you can, go check out our Soundworks collection video for Uncharted 4. It's pretty cool. It's a little window into what I do.
Right on.
Oh, cool. Where can you find that?
That's on soundworkscollection.com. You can go to their Twitter, or you can search Google. I can find you a URL, and you can put in the show notes.
Perfect. Hey, man, thanks for spending some time with us. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Anytime.
All right. Take care.
Adios.
And it's fine, honestly, Brian, that Rob had to go because we're gonna bore you again with we watched Justified and Game of Thrones and wait a minute, Brian, you caught a couple more Daredevils.
I did. I got halfway through Daredevil. I think episode 4. It was the end of the Punisher arc, kind of leading us into, I assume, starting next episode we'll begin the Elektra arc. So we'll talk about all of that in spoiler in time. What about you?
I've been watching the things that I usually watch, but after visiting the Universal Studios Harry Potter theme park a few weeks back, I started rewatching the old Harry Potter movies, and watching them on the Vudu app is really great because I never think, oh, wait a minute, I that's on iTunes. I have to pull out my iPad for this, or I'd have to download that on my laptop. Hold on, Vudu makes it easy. I wish that it was on the Apple TV. But because it's on Roku, it's like I always go to Roku. I can watch it in the browser. It is proving to be the best way to watch these things. And I've been watching some of them on my television, some on my laptop, some of them on my tablet.
Yeah, man, what a testament to the fact that the ecosystem really matters. You know, it's like once you get cozy in a certain spot, you just want to stay there. Like I cannot. And they're all there. So I just keep punching. Like I end one and I start the next one. Yeah, I can make absolutely zero case for why Amazon is a superior marketplace to Apple, except for, well, that's where most of my content is. And so it's easy to just put it in there.
All right, Bryce, what are we on the lookout for this week?
Hey guys, I found this new show on Netflix that man, I kind of wasn't expecting it to exist, but it does. It's called Terrace House.
That's House of Cards.
No. It's Terrace House.
Terrace House. Okay.
Boys and Girls in the City. This is a co-production between Netflix and Fuji Television, which is basically Fuji stopped making the series, and then Netflix came in and said, "Hey, let's make some more of this."
Sure, we've seen them do that on other stuff. Are they speaking English in these clips that we're seeing here?
No, which is why we don't have any audio, and also the subtitles are not on this video. But this is basically the real world in Japan. It's 6 strangers living in a house, going to work, having fun, trying to romance each other. And what's really interesting is that it is a pretty earnest take on that. It does things that a Japanese real world would do. It doesn't have testimonials. It has a panel that the show cuts away to commentate instead of giving these introspective moments. And you get a real good sense of some of the cultural differences as far as romance and courting and dating, or just even lifestyle in Japan versus reality shows that we've come accustomed to in America. They started off with an 18-episode run, which is what's available now on Netflix America with subtitles, but they extended it to what I think is 36 episodes. Those are coming out weekly in Japan, and I think my guess is once that second 18 is done, they'll probably subtitle those and make those available worldwide. But I think, man, it's really interesting, and I don't even know of many straight reality shows in Japan that aren't like weird game show things. So check out Terrace House on Netflix.
Cool. That's Terrace. Not a character named Tara whose house it is.
Right,
It's
like
terrace.
a terrace.
A house on a terrace. Got it.
Exactly.
And it's one of the first fruits of Netflix's expansion into all those 130 markets, and they said we want to make more localized content and then see where else it appeals around the world. So that's kind of cool. Got something we should be on the lookout for? Email it to us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Let's see some dispatches from the front.
All right, we got an email from Steve who complains PlayStation View is a nightmare. Tried to sign up today for a free week and got an error on my Fire TV telling me I'm not at home. Called as it suggested and learned that this is a common error and there's apparently no fix. I went through all the troubleshooting, which included the loss of my free week. Apparently it took him a week to troubleshoot, or he lost his week. I was given $20 towards my first month. I had to sign up again, delete the app, download it again just to get the same error. The troubleshooting ended. I was told my refund would be reviewed by a special department. Yes, I have to wait for my money back, and I could watch their blog for a fix to this problem. If I have to watch their blog, it must be an issue affecting a lot of people. Plus, I lose my chance at a free week. He's really into the free week. Fail all the way around. Dude, this is the thing, man. It matters that you have an experience. I went through the same thing with Sling. I gave Sling a chance twice. Second time was much, much better than the first, except for the time that it crashed at the middle of a pivotal moment at the end of Better Call Saul.
Well, and that is the biggest problem with technology in general. But with these streaming services is everything's a little buggier. Like that's true of so many things. You were talking about delays and how you missed the days when you could just flip through. That's because things are more complicated. There's more points in the stream where things can fail. There's more parts that can go wrong. And when you add on top of that, we need to make sure that people aren't using this outside of the house because we have a rule and there's a license that says you can only get to use it at home. Suddenly you've added even more complexity than you need to technically make it possible. And so you see errors like that. It's no big surprise, honestly.
All right, Tom, I'm going to let you read this next letter. I got to warn you, it's from our friend Derek Chen, so I put the entire thing in there. It's a bit long, but all of his insights tend to be really, really good.
Yeah, he attended the YouTube brandcast, as they call it, as well. But Susan Wojcicki's statement about how YouTube mobile reached more than 18-49-year-olds than any network was a bit misleading for Derek. He says they're comparing a month's worth of mobile traffic on YouTube versus people who are watching at least one TV network during primetime hours, both of which in December. Yes, the reach is undoubtedly there, but the experience and quality is very different. TV amongst advertisers talk about it being more of a lean-back medium. Typical shows range from 30 minutes to an hour, but you might be tuned in for hours. It's a very different experience from YouTube, where one may only be watching clips a few minutes long. Also, much of YouTube is still based on search. December is also the best month to pull against TV, since shows tend to go on break and people tend to be out towards the second half of the month. Mobile YouTube consumption has way surpassed desktop, but perhaps the word mobile still sounds more buzzworthy. And working on both digital and TV advertising, Derek says, I'd say that TV still excels at these pop culture moments, usually with the premiere finale of top shows, as well as live programming. Since it's live in real time, there's a fair amount of buzz, especially on social platforms around these big TV moments, which is huge for advertisers. For example, I've run ads against The Walking Dead, and I found that people are not just tweeting about the show, but that they saw my ad with the show. It's a bit harder to find that sort of experience on digital video. Netflix probably comes closest whenever they release a new season of a popular show, but it's not quite there on YouTube.
Yeah, man. Man, that's all really, really good stuff. I don't know. One of the things I'm really interested in, because his take, of course, is that television is the go-to place for a universal pop culture moment that resonates with everybody. And yet, I was listening to the Cracked podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about some study that said that millennials are the most homogenous generation yet, even though they they have the ability to get stuff from all these disparate feeds. They all tend to get their comedy education watching the same Louis C.K. clips, even though they're getting it from 12 different sites. They all tend to get their jokes from Reddit and so on. So I don't know which is true. I have been a believer that everything is just getting more and more disparate, that we're all going into individual bubbles. But hearing that kind of stuff makes me wonder if it's possible that the reverse is true, and that what we lack is a way to reach all of them at the same time, which, again, if you're an advertiser, I would imagine is a very different position to be than somebody just sort of looking at pop culture in general.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume Derek, and advertisers in general have ways of measuring this engagement, but I get what he's saying, which is everybody watching a Louis C.K. clip and then talking about it to each other across several weeks is not the same as everybody watching the Walking Dead finale and saying, oh my God, what is with this crazy commercial? And all of a sudden, boom, 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 a lot more people are aware of that commercial and its message than would be aware of whatever the pre-roll was on the Louis C.K. clip across several weeks.
Yeah. We got an important one from Steve, who writes, hey, Schwood, Ninja Steve here. I was on the edge about Comic-Con HQ, but Alf put me over. The end. Which, by the way, I do feel like it's important to give plugs because I found out that Anthony Carboni is co-hosting a show on there. Friend of the show, Anthony Carboni, is fantastic. So, and I believe he tweeted out, and I'm not getting paid anything by this to say, I just want to help out Anthony. I think he said there was a free trial month or a free trial week or something that you can go and experience. Too. Yeah. But that's happening right now.
That's repeating our own news.
Yeah, no, I know. Okay, look, when it's newsworthy, it's news. Yeah. But when it's a week late, and I'm only saying it because it might help my friend Anthony.
You're just pointing out that we already told you that if you want to see more Anthony Carboni, there's a free trial.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. That's news.
Hey, a tip for current and possibly future Xbox One owners from Finley. He said when Microsoft first announced that you could stream and play your Xbox One games on your PC, laptop, or tablet through the Xbox app, I didn't really see the point. But when I went to watch the hockey game last week and found my wife watching Downton on the only TV, I found another use of the Stream To feature of the Xbox. I was able to switch my wife over to the Roku without much fuss and streamed the over-the-air feed of hockey through my Xbox through the USB tuner to my tablet. With this setup, I was also able to watch the game as I did the dishes. With the DVR function coming this summer, the Xbox One is becoming an excellent multimedia device.
Yeah, take that, Rob Krekel, who didn't like his Xbox One media consumption experience.
We could say whatever we want about it, but it's
gone.
True. I heard him say that too. Hey, everybody, send us your emails. What do you think? What are your tips? What's going on? Cordkillers@gmail.com is the email address. Our website is cordkillers.com, and we're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We want to hear from you.
Hey, guys. Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.